Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So it is Demira. If you guys are new here, my channel is all about motherhood and more. I am a Christian mom. I am a stay-at-home mom. I love to do stay-at-home mom videos. I love to do Christian videos. I am just kind of like all over the place, but please like this video. So today we are going to talk about my positive C-section story, y'all. Ooh. I am ready to finally say what I think about it and share my experience. My baby is now 8 months, and so now it's been enough time for me to kind of heal and just really be able to sit down and tell you guys my experience. If you guys do not know, for my first child, I had an emergency C-section. I do have another baby, and the first one I had an emergency C-section. This time around it was a scheduled C-section, and so they are two totally different things. I had two totally different experiences, and so I'm gonna just sit down and tell you guys like from top to bottom what to expect and just my positive outlook and outtake on it. So everyone, if you guys see me looking down at my phone, I have notes. I want to make sure that I'm telling you guys everything that I can think of and I'm not leaving anything out. The second time around, we had already stated that we were going to have a scheduled C-section. And so what a scheduled C-section is you already kind of go ahead and plan it out before you have a baby, and more than likely that's about at least a month out. So the first step I was going to say is you go ahead and you schedule that appointment. So for me, I scheduled the appointment. I already knew a month or two ahead that I was going to go in at a certain day and then at a certain time. You're going to do a certain day at a certain time, and they're going to let you guys know where to go and what time to be there. For me, that morning looked like 7 a.m. that I had to report there. So I got up at like 5 o'clock. I took my shower and we were out the door. I already had my bags packed. So that's the first thing. You definitely have to make sure you go ahead and just schedule it. So the second thing that I was going to say is they will check you in. After you get checked in, when you check in, you have to go up to the front desk. They'll tell you what floor to go on because this is going to be at the hospital. So they'll tell you what floor to be on at the hospital, and you go up there and they check you in. They're going to ask you your name, your date of birth, and I'm not sure if they ask you for your ID to see your ID or not, but just bring it just in case. And then they're going to find you and they're going to go ahead and put your little wristband on, and then they're going to send you to the back. So that's the second thing. You're going to check in. So after you check in, the nurse is going to go ahead and send you to your own little room. My room was very small, and it had other people on this other sides of me and down the hall. So there's like multiple rooms. So yeah, you're going to go in your own room. And then after you go into your own room, she's going to give you a bag. And in that bag, it has like a pair of socks and it has your gown that you're going to go ahead and put on. And so when I went in there, she gave me the gown and she was like, hey, go ahead and go to the bathroom and change out of your clothes. So yes, you're going to have to take obviously all your clothes off, and you're going to have to change into the gown that they give you. And the socks are optional. You don't have to put the socks on if you don't want, but I personally like the socks, so I'll put the socks on. So after you go ahead and change your clothes, you're going to go back and you're going to kind of wait a little bit. I'm going to say a good 15 minutes or so, and you're just going to kind of sit there and wait for the nurse to come back. And when she comes back, she's going to go ahead and give you that IV. And after the IV, they're going to check your your iron, because I remember she was like, oh my god, your iron is so good iron level. So that's a good tip for you. But yeah, she checked my iron and she's like, that's awesome. And so after that, with that same IV, they're going to go ahead and pump you up with a lot of fluids. So be prepared. Apparently it's supposed to help with something dealing with the C-section, maybe like blood clots, something like that. I'm not sure, but they're going to pump you with a lot of fluids. And when I mean a lot, I mean a lot. I think I was pumped with probably at least 4 bags, and it was a lot. So it didn't feel weird. It didn't hurt or anything like that. If anything, it may have just been a little uncomfortable, but it was fine. So just be prepared that they're going to pump you with a lot of fluids. And also your nurse is going to go ahead and shave you. Some people say they like to be shaved before they go, and some people just let the nurse do it. I just let the nurse do it because I wanted to make sure I did it right and didn't want to irritate anything. So she did it, and that's another thing. They're going to make sure that you're nice and shaved down there. And once they do that, then they're going to go on to the next thing. And then after that, some time will come in between, and maybe like 10 minutes, and she'll come back. They're also going to go ahead and put the baby monitor on because they want to hear the baby's heartbeat, and they want to make sure that everything is okay with the baby while, you guys are just sitting there. For me, they could not find Caius's heartbeat. He was all over the place. And so they were just like, you know, he could, like, literally his leg was like sticking out of my stomach, and he kept going up and down, up and down. She was like, you know what, he's not acting right with the monitor. It was just all over the place. Like, you could hear the heartbeat and then it wouldn't. And he was fine. She was just like, you know, we're just gonna leave it alone. And she went ahead and told my doctor, she was like, you know, we could see him moving, he's fine, he's just not working well with the monitor. So yes, they're gonna go ahead and hook you up with that. They want to make sure that everything is going well with the heartbeat. And so once they are finished with that, you're gonna have like that waiting period. It's a lot of waiting. And so after you wait with that, they're gonna be like, okay, as the time is coming closer, as you're getting closer to that time to go in for your scheduled C-section, your anesthesiologist is gonna come and introduce themselves, and you're just gonna meet all the doctors. So she came in and she was like, you know, what music do you like to make you feel calm? And so I was like, oh, I like Lecrae. So she allowed me to listen to Lecrae. She went ahead and set it up for me to just kind of calm my nerves down. And I'm sure that you can ask for music. But yeah, so you're gonna meet all your doctors, and then they're gonna be like, okay, we'll see you in a little bit. And so that's like the time where you just really kind of like waiting for them to kind of roll you back. It's a really quick process, and you know, it's just amazing to be there with your partner, and your partner's gonna go ahead and get dressed. DJ was able to put on his scrubs and the things over his shoes and get all dressed up. And so after that, we just sat there for like maybe 5 more minutes, and they just was like, okay, we're gonna roll you back. And so they rolled me back, and I'm smiling because like I literally get so emotional thinking about this, but they rolled me back, and I remember I had to move beds. So they were like, okay, we got to get you to get up and walk and go and switch the bed. And she was like, this is your last time walking, being pregnant. So I just kind of got up, and then I walked over to the other bed. And then from the other bed, they wheeled me into the operating room. And y'all, when I tell you, it was a total different experience. The first time, it was just like so fast. They had to get her out, and it was just, I was crying. I was all over the place. This time I was a little bit more calm, but it was crazy seeing like those big bright lights and all like the utensils. And then when you go in there, there's a lot more people in there. I'm talking about like, not like 5 people, maybe like 8 to 10 people. So I also had a student, they asked me would I allow her to be in, and I said, of course, you know, they have to learn too. So I was totally fine with that. Yes, everything is out in the open. Okay, so now that we're in the operating room, the first thing that the anesthesiologist told me, she was just like, I want you to practice putting the spinal block in. So she made me sit up on the table. I sat up on the table, and she said, bend over. So I bent over, and she was just like, bend over like that. And so you have to be really, really, really bent over, and they don't want you to move. So she was just like, let's practice before I actually put it in. And so we practiced, and she was like, okay, you know, we're gonna wait. And so when my doctor came in, the guy who did my scheduled C-section, he came in, and so they went ahead and put the spinal block in. The spinal block it did not hurt. It was more like a pinch. It was really uncomfortable. I think just the idea of it being a big needle and like hearing everything else what other people have to say about it kind of psychs you out a little bit. But it really wasn't bad. It was more uncomfortable. The nurse was holding me to make sure that I did not move, because you cannot move when you're getting a spinal block. So you just kind of have to hold her like this, and you kind of wrap your arms around her, and you bend over really good, and you do not move. I kind of was like, I was just like that. But she was like, you know, you're doing good. And she just reassured me. And so I calmed down a little bit. But yeah, so after that, y'all, things start to move very quick. So after you get that spinal block, they immediately lay you back down, because that thing is going to start working. And when I mean start working, I mean your whole legs are going to go numb. And so that's the point, right, of a scheduled C-section, so you don't feel anything. So they lay you back, and then they hurry up and put you on the table, because you automatically cannot feel your legs. It takes like a few minutes, but it kicks in really fast. And so once they do that, they go ahead and put like the arm rest out. And so you're going to go ahead and lay back. They're going ahead and putting up the sheet in front of you. I've heard that some people, they allow to look. This time, they didn't really give me an option. They just went ahead and put that covering over me. My husband was able to see it, but I did not see anything. He was able to look over and see everything. So they put that covering up over me, and they turned on my Lecrae music, and they were just like, okay, like it's starting to work. And so my doctor was in there, and he was like, okay, Demira, Mara, so you remember how I told you that he was like, okay, it's gonna be 3 minutes that we have to wait. And so in that 3 minutes, I guess it's like to give the medicine time to like really kick in. So they have to wait 3 minutes. And so then he was like, okay, so now I'm just gonna pinch you. And like they pinch you really hard from my understanding, and I could not feel anything. And so once you're like, I don't feel anything, they're like, okay, we're gonna start working. And he started, I think he had already started. He was like, okay, tomorrow we've already started. So they had already started cutting me and I didn't even know, obviously, because you can't feel it. And so I was like, okay, I was like, okay, I think I can, be okay. I personally was just all over the place. I did like to have my anesthesiologist still beside me and my husband. I literally was holding their hands so tight because my first experience was traumatic for me. So I was just like, I wanted them there. They're able to give you nausea medicine. Some people have really bad nausea going into C-section. And so if you go ahead and tell her that, she will go ahead and pump you up with some medicine to make sure that you're not throwing up. And so she did that a couple of times. I told her that I was nauseous, and they can only give you so much. So I think I got 2 doses of something, the nausea medicine. And then after that, she was just like, okay, we can't give you any more. So I didn't ask for any more, but she was just like, okay, this is the last of it. So, and then after that, they just was cutting, and DJ, he was holding my hand. He was looking over and he was seeing everything. He said everything was out, the C-section. They have to take everything out of you. It was a lot of blood, and I could feel like them suctioning out a lot of stuff. It did not hurt. You could literally just feel them tugging a lot. And so he told me that when they like dig in to get the baby's head, he was like, you're going to have to really breathe. They told me that beforehand. They said, we really want you to just take some deep breaths in and out because it's like a lot of pressure. And so once we did that, when the time came, they were like, okay, so this is that time that I told you to take really deep breaths. And so it was a good bit of pressure, but it wasn't to the point where I freaked out or anything like that. And when they were about to pull the head out, and he was like, okay, like I see the legs, or okay, I see the head. And so once they pulled him out, they immediately brought Kais over and started working on him. Kais was a really big baby, so they had to work on him a little bit. I think they had to really clear out some stuff. They said that I'm not sure if he was having a hard time breathing or not, but a lot of the nurses, there were like 3 of them working on Kais, and he had to get like a little breathing oxygen. They had him on oxygen. And so they were just reassuring me like, hey, mama, he's doing good. And so once Dr. Jib had him, I was able to see him on the side. I could not grab him first because, like I said, Kais had to be worked on just a little bit with some oxygen. Some people were able to hold them right after, and I wasn't able to do that. But then after that, he was, just putting everything back and stitching up everything. That was a longer process than anything, being stitched back up and being, and everything being put back in. So that took a long time, and I was actually getting really kind of impatient. I kept asking, I was like, are they almost done? So yeah, it really wasn't that bad, y'all. It was a lot better experience. And of course, after they were all done, they moved me back to the stretcher. They gave me Kais, and they immediately started letting me breastfeed him. So that's what I wanted to do, and they let me breastfeed him. I was able to see him for the first time, and it was just amazing. Like I said, it was a lot better experience than my emergency C-section story. I really enjoyed it. I'm more than likely gonna have another C-section if I have another baby. I've had 2 now, so I really have wanted to do a VBAC, but it wasn't God's will for me to have that, and that's okay. But this time it was a lot better. And yeah, it really wasn't that bad. And so after you get the baby, after you are able to breastfeed him a little bit, they're going to go ahead and roll you back into that same room where you change into your clothes and all that good stuff. And so there, you're going to wait there for like 2 hours because they want to make sure that everything is fine with you. They're coming in there, checking. And after that, they're going to get you a room, and you're going to go on that elevator. They're going to wheel you out, and you're going to be in that room. One thing I do have to say, that I could start feeling things about an hour after my surgery, so it wore off very quick. And after that, they started the pain meds, and then, just the whole process of being in the hospital. So that was my story. Hope that you guys, whoever is watching, I hope that you guys are ready to go. Always make sure that you pray before you go in there, and just ask God to bless the doctors and bless the nurses that are gonna be putting their hands on you, and just bless the whole process, and just know that going in there, God has you, and just have that faith. And there's nothing like, you know, trusting in God and his will for you. So yeah, that was my experience, and I hope that you guys were able to follow through and just letting you guys know what is going to happen from top to bottom. If you guys have any questions, please let me know down in the description, in the comments down below. And also, if you guys have any prayer requests, please let me know that as well. And I hope you guys truly enjoyed it, and I hope that you guys have a blessed rest of your day. So I'll talk to you guys later.